What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Good morning, Josh. Nightcat. Hey, hello. Kervin from Scotland. Good morning. Moonraid, good to see you again. Daniel, hey, how's it going? Man, I'm excited today, guys. We're gonna beat this thing. We're finally gonna finish this slider. Oh, what's up, Pixel Geek? Right on. Oh, and anybody ever run into pages other than home not openable after publishing? No, I've never ran into that. That's really strange. Let me get the music right. 1 second. There we go. Nerdski, hello. Harif, Julian, hello. Alex, good morning. Just so you guys know, I am streaming on 2 platforms. So I'm over on Twitch and I'm also over on YouTube. So I can see both chats. So if you see like comments that are coming in that you don't know where they're from, it's probably from the other platform. Good vibes starting. Yeah. Back for another day of lurking and working from me. Nice. Awesome. Well, you know what I'm doing. I'm working on the carousel because it's beat us 3 days in a row, 2 days on stream. And then the third when I was just kind of like tinkering behind the scenes. But today I think we can win. But how are you guys doing this morning? What are you guys going to be working on? Coffee is here. Everything is right in the world. Probably not a good thing to say. Feels right. Peachy Keen, living the dream. Right on, Curtis. Alex, do you have the chats funneling into one? Yeah. Yep. I stream with Streamlabs OBS. So it all kind of merges into one feed. Working on beating down my self-doubt. It's a lifetime project. Respect. That monkey on your back will always be there in some form or fashion. All right, so do you have a recommendation for having a free Instagram feed? I don't. But I also don't like to do that on websites. So you're talking about like taking your Instagram feed and then embedding it on the actual solution you have. It seems to slow down the load time of the site. So I tend to just like, if we want a gallery, I just have a gallery on the site. Watched it yesterday and decided to update my Webflow website. Now it's totally broken. Oh no. That's the beauty of things though. You know, you break stuff, you fix it, and then it's new. Hamza, working on a branding project for your application portfolio. Nice. All right, we're slowly working our way through the home roasted beans here. We got them from down the street. But it's coffee. It is coffee. Nice coffee, yep. All right, what else is everybody working on today? Depending on where you are in the world, it's like weekend time, right? Started to write a case study for your side project. Excellent. It's always important to start those earlier than you think because you lose a lot of details and stuff to just memory, or at least I do. And then when you start working on new projects, you just don't want to touch that old one. So I try and recommend people, you know, starting on their case studies while they're actually in the project. 4 p.m. in the UK, 1 more hour of real work. Oh no, Zach, dirty sock coffee. That's not good. Now it's Friday. Yes, Hamza. So a little bit of like kind of cool, exciting news. Because of you guys, today I am eligible for Twitch affiliate, which I don't know that I'm going to take, but it's kind of an exciting achievement. It's always nice to unlock those things when they gamify it for you. So that's really cool. And thanks for joining the stream. I mean, it's you guys hanging out that's doing this. Continue emote design. Oh, nice. Might need some of those very soon. Hey, Mr. Kettles. You know what? I want to show you guys something. I was super excited to get it. Hang on one second. Okay. So I got this in the mail. I've been waiting for this for a year. And this is something I'm going to build on stream, probably on the personal time. Maybe it was super late for some of you guys in Europe, but we will work on this together at a later date. Sorry for the bubble wrap sounds. It's bubble wrap. So when this arrived, I skipped down the hall like a little kid. There's that bubble ASMR. Okay, so this is a keyboard, or at least a case. That angle. Yeah, she cute. So this is akin to keyboards, Canon 65. And I supported the group by about, it was almost a year ago. And they're finally here. The bad thing is that in shipping, it got damaged. So let's see, at the focus. Can you see that dent? Yeah, it's so bad. So I contacted the owner, Milo. It's hard to see because of the light. There you go. That's a better view. So I contacted the owner and he's gonna make it right. He's gonna ship me another one. But it's just sad to see because it's so pretty. Stormtrooper white, and the mounting on this is really interesting because there's no screws. See that? None. And what it is it's magnets. So you can lift off the top here. That's how you build it. So we're waiting. But hey. That's what we call in Scotland a saryin. Yeah, metal frame. It's all powder coated aluminum, I think. And then a brass plate. So yeah, the only thing I'm waiting on some keyboard build stuff is an overhead like rig for one of the cameras so that I can switch over to the B cam, which is just sitting up here waiting. Kind of a top down shot. So yeah. I will find the link and I will put it out in the Discord. I don't have it right now. Hang on 1 second. I guess I can find it. What camera am I using for the stream? It's an EOS R with a 1635 L series lens. I can only paste the link into Twitch right now. Can't do YouTube, so it's over there in Twitch. What switches are going to go in there? Honestly, like it's either going to be lubed creams or holy pandas. If you don't know what those are, I'm very sorry. It sounds wrong, but it's the truth. Okay, Kervin, what is asar yin mean? The music disappeared. Get that back up and running, and then we'll get to work. Let's see. Think you'll be sorry, Yin asks. Better than lubed pandas. That's funny. It's very strange that iTunes is not cooperating. Did I get too nerdy with the keyboard stuff? I love the experience of typing on a mechanical keyboard so much better than some of those like the Apple keyboards that are out there, like those butterfly. I forget what they call it, the butterfly switches or hinges or something that they use on Apple keyboards. I don't like that. Going back to the affiliate thingy, it's a lot of conditions and money going to Twitch, but if you're just doing it for the fun, then go for it. But YouTube is also pretty good for the live streams now. Honestly, like I love the Twitch community. It seems like the chat is way more active over on Twitch than YouTube, even though I can see both, you know. But I also really enjoy the ability to multi-stream. So I think I might avoid doing that for a while. There it is. You missed the 2016 chiclets. You know, Apple had a really good mechanical keyboard back in like 04 or 05. And I used that thing for 10 years. I mean, it was like, it started white. It turned out like yellow and just disgusting. Are you simulcasting with a third-party app? Yeah, it's Streamlabs OBS, so it's built into the OBS platform. Multi is a bit weird. It kind of is, like, I can see where the chat is coming from in both YouTube and Twitch. But I don't know. It's almost like two different communities. All right, so I think it's time to get to work. Hit record. we're off to the races. Okay, so today we are working on these sliders again. So this is what we've done in the so far, and maybe we should start at the beginning for those of you who are new. What we're doing is we're just adding a feature to our homepage that will allow us to have these Netflix style sliders that kind of creep in from the side here underneath some opacity or underneath a transparent gradient. And the whole goal here is just to provide more content on the homepage that people can scroll through so that, you know, they have options to look at versus our current homepage is really a grid and it's limited to 6 items. So when Chris asked for this feature, he was thinking something along the lines of Netflix and wanted this infinite scroll. And we ran into a lot of issues in Webflow. So mainly the biggest issue that we ran into when we built this slider in Webflow was, as you can see, it's when we move the slider, it's basically saying, let's go ahead and move the wrapper that holds all of the videos inside of it. Let's go ahead and move that throughout the screen instead of moving it one by one. And I think that the whole issue is that, like, when you have a collection list in here like this, it's difficult for Webflow to say, all right, we're going to move it by one item, because that one item can change in size and scale and scope. So it's not built into the feature set. So I, live streamed all of my struggles here, and eventually somebody from the chat, I think it was Zach, sent me this tutorial by a guy named t.ricks. And Tim has basically incorporated Slick Slider, which is a really short and sweet, I think it's JavaScript snippet, into the custom code section of the homepage. So it's super light and it provides exactly, the functionality that we're looking for, without anything heavy or without like doing anything crazy to the actual Webflow build. So that when, somebody logs in here, they're going to see something that looks very, very similar to what the end user is going to see on the screen, even though it's got some custom code in it. So my goal today is to kind of follow Mr. Rick's tutorial. All credit goes to this guy. He is incredible. And I'm going to get him on the channel because, 5,000 subs, like, come on. If you guys will, find him on YouTube real quick, go subscribe, because his tutorials are flat out amazing. And I think he's got more of a developer background or an engineer background, so it kind of makes sense the way he approaches things, but he also has pretty good aesthetic. So Mr. Kettles, t.ricks, nice. Yeah, he's so good. And Elisbo, Slick Sliders like Owl Slider, and I've used both outside of Webflow. So have I. I've never actually applied the custom code or used like the actual JavaScript in WordPress websites, but I've definitely used plugins from Owl Slider and Slick Slider. But the thing that I was like really amazed about is like how small the code snippet is for this. So it's pretty pumped. And then of course in the comments, I asked him for some advice because, we have a whole bunch of these sliders on one page. And I said, listen, reading this code, what this looks like is these two button functions here. If we have these button functions for every single slider, if someone clicks one button, then all of the sliders are going to activate, right? And he hit me back in a matter of hours and said, yep, here's the adjusted code for you. So really, I can't say enough about this guy. So definitely go sub. All right, so if we're following the tutorial, and I'll kind of like breeze over some things. I will go ahead and play what he's done here.
What's up YouTube? In today's video we're going to cover how to make a draggable CMS slider in Webflow. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with new videos. And if you haven't,
so you see that functionality works perfectly.
Put it in the comments below. So the first thing we're going to need to do is drag in a...
All right, so I'll walk you guys through this really quickly because we've already done some of this on the site in previous streams. And just I just want to flag this for you. I thought about going on and like knocking out the brunt of this last night before the stream, but I figured that you guys have been on, along the ride for all the bumps and bruises and crazy stuff so far. So I was like, maybe I just do this live. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I have no shame in admitting that I don't know most things about Webflow and the internet. There are people out there who know way more than me, and it's awesome when you find somebody like t.ricks who can, walk you through that stuff. Senti, have I heard something about Twitch affiliate? Yeah, so today I think we can make it. Today was the last day I needed to stream. So I'm not really sure. Still thinking about it. Okay, so back to the tutorial. Let me go theater mode here. Here's what he does. He throws a collection list on the page and then styles the collection list. So this is him styling the collection list. He does some stuff with background video that we're not going to do, so that kind of stuff doesn't really matter to us so much. But you can see that inside of his section, he's got a slider container, he's got a wrapper, he's got a list, and then that list is basically all of the collection items. And then you can see here, there's an item. And each one of these squares that has background videos in it is considered an item. And then within each item has, different stuff, card, video embeds, that kind of thing. So he's laid all that out. And he's just adding some text. So he'd walk you through all this stuff. I don't think that we need to do that. More formatting of the collection list, which is, all stuff that we've already done. And now he's into the Slick Slider plugin. So let's go ahead and watch this together, and then we'll get going.
In the body closing tag section, we'll just create a new line and paste in the Slick Slider code. And then there's quite a few things that we can do in here. We can adjust the speed, like when we drag the slide, how long does it take it to snap into the new position. Infinite false means it will just scroll, but it'll have an end. But if we change infinite to true, then we'll be able to scroll or drag both ways, and it will never end.
And just if you guys are new to Webflow, where he's at right now is he clicked on pages, which is this little icon here. And then he went over to the gear icon, and he's inside of the settings for this individual page. And inside the settings, you can add custom code, and that's where he is. He's in this before the end body tag right there.
Slides to show is how many slides we want to be completely in view. So like this slide hanging off to the side wouldn't count as one of the slides to show. But we probably want 3 slides always in view. So Slick Slider is going to set the width of these items, so that way we always have 3 in view. So we actually won't need the width on this item, but you'll see what it does when we publish. So let's just go ahead and publish this because we did a lot, and let's just test out what it looks like. So we open this up. So first of all,
so right here you can see that by applying the infinite feature in the code, he has an extra card here on the left. So we're not going to do that for our site because we want them to start at a certain point. We don't want it to be infinite scroll. And I think what they mean by infinite is looping. So it just loops the slides in this big circle.
If we hover over a video, it plays. Hover out, it stops playing. There's videos on all sides. And then there's 3 complete slides in view, but we're getting a little bit of video on each side. And we can click and drag, and you see it snaps into place. It just kind of slides. It's pretty slow because we have the duration up so high, but it's definitely sliding into place for us, which is pretty good. And we should be able to go infinitely in either direction, and it should work fine no matter which direction we go. I might bring the duration down just a little bit because it is a little slow with the sliding. So I'll open this up, and then we'll go to the duration, and right here we maybe bring that down to like 700 for speed. And then also notice like maybe we can make this, the headings, the letting up.
So we don't need to go into a lot of that like type stuff. But just right there, all he did was he created a collection list, named everything appropriately, and then pasted in the custom code. So I think that that's where we can start, and we'll try it. Breaking stuff together, right? That's the whole thing. So that video play on hover is kind of nice. It really is. The thing is that with background video, you actually have to upload its own clip. So you have to upload its own MP4 to somewhere. And we have over 1,000 videos on the channel, and I really don't want to do that. I don't think it's going to improve the usability of the thing, and it just make like the page speeds load time like just crazy. So I think I'm just going to skip all that. Yep, exactly. Heavy to load. I mean, imagine if we limited each collection to 20, but we had 6 collection items, that would be 120 MP4s for the system to load on page load, and that would be insane. So we're not going to do that, even though it looks hella cool there, Tim. All right, so here we are back in our Webflow website. We've already formatted our carousel, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and start. Maybe I won't tweak the names that I've already given it. Maybe I'll go and just adjust the collection item quantity. So I think right now we've got 6. Yep. And I'm just going to change that to say 20. So now we have 20 items loaded in this collection. And then the other thing that we did was we added interactions, which you can tell by this like green lightning bolt symbol. And we're just going to remove those for now because we don't want any conflicting motion inside the slider. Okay, just remove all that. All right. So let's see. We've got the slick slider code here, and he says this belongs in the section of the custom code that's right before the end body tag. So if we find our page here, view the settings, and go ahead and add this, before the body tag right there. So we'll just add a little bit of extra script here. Okay, so if I'm reading this correctly, and devs, if you're in the chat, please correct me if I'm reading this wrong. But basically, these settings apply to a specific class called list, and we don't have that. And if we look back on Tim's setting here, okay, so he's got his wrapper as his collection list, and then he's got his list here. So let's see, what is ours? Go ahead and save that real quick. Our breakdown here. So we call this B slider wrapper. And then there's the B slide wrapper. So I think we could just rename that. List is cleaner. It already exists, so we're not going to do that. All right, so B slider wrapper, and we'll go ahead and adjust the code to reflect that then. Okay. Okay, so we don't want dots. That's correct. Now, Tim adjusted this to 700 for speed between the slides, and I must say that was even a little bit slow for me, so I'm going to go 600. And I think that's in milliseconds. We don't want infinite scroll. We do want 3 slides to show. And then when we scroll, we definitely do want 1 slide to scroll. And then it's got some breakpoints here. So on tablet, the breakpoint pixel width is 991. So that means anything less than or maybe equal to 991, it's going to remove or it's going to reduce the number of slides to show to 2. And then mobile, same thing, breakpoint 479. So here's where it gets a little bit tricky with these slider previous and slider next. But I kind of want to hit pause, publish these things, and see how the script reacts to this kind of thing. The only thing is that he named his class items or item. He named his card item, and I'm not sure if we're gonna need to do that. But let's publish and find out. So the right way to do it would be to defer loading until hover, but that gets tricky. Yeah, I'm not really even sure how to do that in Webflow. Is that feature, is that built in? Because I know that they incorporated like lazy loading, but I don't know. So we have about 18 collections on the site because we've got all these crazy things going on, so it takes forever to publish. So hold please. You can also check the Slick slider documentation for reference. It was easy to read back when I used it and has plenty of examples. Cool, nice. And the previous and next can be set in some various ways, yeah. In the image settings, you can set them to load on scroll. Oh, nice. I forgot, can you zoom the Webflow interface? Might get a little tricky, but I could try. Okay, is that better? Can you guys see that better? It's a little gnarly for me, but yeah, maybe that'll work. All right, let's see how this goes. Here's our slider. The buttons don't work yet. We haven't worked on the buttons yet. Let's see. So functionality wise, it should move when we click and drag it. So let's see if it works. It does not. All right, no problem. We'll figure this out. All right, so first thing is the one thing that I noticed about t.ricks here is that he's got an item set here. So I'm going to try that first. I'm going to change our slider wrapper to item. And then I think that there is something about the section that we need to pay attention to as well. So let's go, actually, let's go over here. So we changed the list here. Let's see. A couple classes there. That's just style. back to our install and make sure that we installed the code right. Okay, here's our body tag. And we're going down to style. We've got slider wrapper, which is our container. Okay. All right. So I changed that one class. I changed the actual item to the word item. So I'm going to publish that and see if that does anything. If I recall correctly, Slick only needs the JavaScript to reference the parent wrapper that contains the individual slides, or in that example, items. Okay. We also may have just layered on a whole bunch of stuff in the existing styling that might prevent that from happening. So I'll go back through and check that as well. Just want to make sure that like the class names line up just in case. And then worst case, we just start from scratch and we just do it all over again, exactly how Ricks did it. So no biggie. You can do it through CMS and simple code. I think that's what we're doing. Oh, we can play YouTube videos inside the card. How do we do that? Because that would be really cool if it's just linking out. Now I know you can embed a YouTube video inside the card, but as far as like playing on hover with no sound, that's what we would want to see there. If you guys have any more ideas, like I said, Zach from the chat actually sent this in to me a couple days ago, this tutorial. So if you guys got any other ideas, jump in Discord and we can have deeper conversations about this kind of stuff. I'm always open to more ideas and stuff. Oh, the publishing is painful. All right, here we go. Let's see if that did anything. I'm gonna guess no, but we'll see. That's interesting. So we didn't actually change anything. We just renamed the class. Weird. What do you guys think happened there? This is it. We're done. We won. No. Let's check this out. I think I'm frozen here. Let's refresh this page and get it going again. That is so strange. What's the keyboard shortcut for inspect? There it is. It's Alt Command in Windows. All right. No errors. It's got the Slick Slider code in there, so very strange. I bet you it has something to do with just using the word item. I didn't see a conflicting code in here, but it would make sense. So let's start losing some of these. Oh, Natha, great point. Yeah, I think that's just kind of like icing on the top to get the video to play on hover. I need to get this collection to work. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna leave that alone, and then we're just going to build one from scratch. Let's see if we can just emulate the way that old Ricks did it. So he's got a div called section. He's got a div called, that's a container. And then he's got his wrapper, list item, and then the card contents. Okay. So we'll do the carousel section. I think that would be just fine because it's just flex layout, vertical, centered, and justified top. Oh, what's up, Walker? Hey, Papa. Oh, you guys are... Oh, I didn't know Charlie was streaming right now. You guys should definitely go watch her. She's awesome. That's Charlie Marie TV. All right, so we have the section here. I don't think that this is causing any kind of conflict here because there's nothing in here that should cause any issues. So let's go ahead and add another div. And what we did here was slider container. And again, it's just a flex, horizontal, centered. We've got overflow visible, which again shouldn't cause any issues, but let's see. Okay, and then what we did before was we had a left slider button and a right slider button that were kind of positioned with absolute, and there's gradients in there and stuff, so I'm just going to avoid putting those in there, and we'll just add a new kind of like fresh collection list. We'll pull from videos. Okay. Hey, what's up, Charlie? Oh, nice. I appreciate that. Whoa, dang. We just jumped up to 76 viewers. So you did something right. You raided with 26 people and then just yourself. I tried to raid somebody the last stream and I'm pretty sure I screwed it up too. I'm telling you, these gamers have things figured out, man. Like, yeah, it's really interesting. All right, so I'm gonna throw an image in here, but first we're gonna make this a link block. So we'll do that there. Throw that in the collection item and throw an image. Side. Pull that image from our videos, do the thumbnails just like we did up there. And there we go. So there's the lazy loading. And just set this before I forget. There we go. Okay. All right, so collection item. So I'm just gonna do B item and keep things super simple. Just match everything that Tim's doing here. So he said list and then wrapper. Okay, and then he's got slider contain and section. Okay. All All right, so technically we should be able to style this so that it's not, you know, all stacked on top of each other. And then should be able to use Slick Slider to display things. So let's go ahead and try that. So under B list, change that to flex. Make it, let's see. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And okay. And then under each item, so this is an individual item, we'll set a width, and with flex you kind of have to set a minimum width. So we'll just follow exactly what Tim did. He did 30 VW and set the minimum width for 30 VW. Okay, so obviously this is going to cause the thing to scroll infinitely to the side, but we'll fix that in a second. Maybe add some padding. Get list. Let's just review here. Trying to replicate every single thing that Tim did in this tutorial so that then we can start adding things on top of it. So we created a wrapper. Matter of fact, let's just watch it.
Collection I have set up called songs, and then I'm going to give this wrapper a class of wrapper, and we'll go ahead and give this list a class of list, and then we'll give the item a class of item. And then inside the item, we're going to want a clickable card. So I'll drag in a link block and just put it inside the item. And then we'll give this a class of card. And so we can go ahead and set the width on the item. We'll set it using viewport width. So we'll do 30 viewport width for now. And then let's set a height on the card. And we'll do 40 viewport width, VW, for the height of the card. So that's looking pretty good. And then inside this card, we'll want a background video.
So that's something we didn't do. We didn't set a height. Probably don't need it, but let's try it. We'll go height 20 VW. Okay.
So I'm going to pull it from the CMS. Inside the CMS, I have a video URL for each one, ending in MP4. So I'm going to need.
So this is the background
in embed
video that we're not
going
to
do. That will go inside the card, right there, and then we'll give this class of embed, and then we'll give it a width of 100% of its parent, a height of it 100% of its parent, and we'll put it inside the card. And then the next thing we need to do is actually get the video code. So all the code I use for this tutorial I'll put in the description of this video, but we'll just copy this code here for the background video, and then a class of video. And if we want to style it, we can just drag in like a, and then we're going to want it to be 140.
Okay, so what he just did there is he was just styling the background video, so we're not gonna pursue that. But you notice that when the videos were all kind of like displaying, let's see if I can find a good screenshot of that. They're just kind of all stacked on top, and that's because he hasn't styled his list or his wrapper yet. So we'll wait for him to do that.
Which is this one right here. And then the card is a height of 40 viewport width, and the card should be 100% width of its parent, which is the item. The next thing we need to do is grab the list, and we'll apply a flexbox to it and center align and then justify.
So it's pretty much the same thing that we did. So list, flexbox, center. I mean, expand is fine.
To the left. So now we have all those cards stacked side by side. The next piece we'll want to do is actually have a title over each video.
Let me just make sure that we didn't apply flex to the wrapper. No, we did not. Okay. So yeah, that's exactly how we did it. Let's see. The only thing it's kind of strange is that, like, even though we're justifying left, it's got some overflow here, which is kind of weird. Let's keep watching.
So for each video, what I'm going to do is grab the item. I'll set a minimum width of 30 viewport width.
There you go.
So that way it's a bit wider. Flexbox was kind of squishing it before. And then I'll set the card to relative. And then
let's see, we can set the card to relative. Why do you guys think that that we've got some overflow on this side? That's what's tripping me out right now. Change the image height. Okay, let's try that. But just match like that kind of warps it though, doesn't it? Because I think that everything needs to be dictated by the width. So wouldn't it be 100% of its container? Same thing here where it's 100% of the container. Yeah. So Natha, you asked, wouldn't it be cheaper to hire somebody to do this? Yeah, absolutely. This is also something I'm interested in learning. So there's that. But the key thing is that we're a content company. And so part of the thing that I'm doing here is I'm recording all of this. And what we're doing is this is going to be chopped up into a really shortened form piece of content in the future. And I'm also going to be using, this kind of stuff in some future projects, which will also make content. So we're getting a little meta here. But yeah, if this were just a standard like business thing, I'd just be hiring devs, no problem. But like I said, I'm really passionate about learning this stuff, and then I'm also making content out of it. All right, so it seems like this item, like all the items are the same width except for this one. This one seems a little bit shorter, which is really strange. Try changing the height and width values from B item to B card. So the B card, I don't know that height has much to do with it. Try making this 40 VW. That just, you see what I mean? It's aligning centered almost. What if we reduce the number of items? So maybe we can limit items to like 5 and see where we're at. Okay, so it's the same issue. So let's see, we'll limit items to 2. So it's centering, and you know what? I bet you it's the container. The slider container centered right there. Yep. Sometimes you just kind of have to go in and hack things to see what's the issue. So if we go to wrapper again, and then we increase the number of collection items shown to 20. There we go. Beautiful. So there it is. All right, so now it's displaying the correct way. It's still exploding off of the side of the screen, which we'll have to fix later. But let's see if we can apply the slider stuff to this and see if it works. But first, always got to check back in with MrBenBurns.
Then I'll drag in a div inside the card, and this will be text contain, and we're going to position it absolute over the videos.
All right, so what he's doing right there is he's just styling the card contents, which we don't need to do right now. So we'll skip forward and just review this one more time when it starts integrating.
Spot, and you'll notice it's grabbing the video class. So as long as our background video has a class of video, then this should work. The only problem is in between them, I'll put a period, and the name of the class is.
I'm skipping this because I watched it like 8 times last night. All right, so now we're back to the point where he's incorporating the Slick slider code. So let's just review this.
Make this draggable with a Slick slider. So I have the code here. Definitely feel free to just copy it. And then we're going to open up our project. In the body closing tag section, we'll just create a new line and paste in the Slick slider code. And then there's quite a few things that we can do in here. We can adjust the speed.
Okay, so his is styled to .list. And since we're using a new class here, blist, I'm going to go ahead and edit that code to reflect the new class. Okay, and we'll go ahead and publish it. It might be due to the video thingy because you can drag and drop a picture, but not playing a video. Ah, that might be it. So we may have to incorporate a little bit of custom code that says that the picture is not clickable. That could be it, yeah. Let's see though. The other thing we can do is just layer on a div on top of that to just kind of like catch the click before it gets down to the image. It's a good thought. See, this is probably one of the worst things about working with custom code is you have to publish it and then view it on the live site to really see what's up. All right, so here's our first slider. That doesn't work. Oh my God. What is even happening here? Chat, what on earth is going on here? So we've obviously got some formatting things going on. Open up Inspector, see if there's any issues. Just Chrome extension stuff, no errors. It's a small preview. Yeah, this is huge. It's literally like, I don't even know. Let's see. Image loading, width is 100%. Okay, here's the card. It's going to be 100%. And then the list item. It's It's set to a width of 78,000 pixels, guys. What? This is crazy. What on earth? And it's applied directly to the element. How is this? What? Okay, so here's what I think is going on. I'm gonna ship it. Yeah. Here's what I think is going on. I think that in the Slick Slider code, so let's take a look at the Slick Slider code real quick. I'm just guessing, all right? Wow, I'd be a rich man if I had a dollar for each pixel on that screen. All right, so here's what I think is happening. The Slick Slider sets the width of the card. And so it's measuring the distance or the width of the container. And it's saying, all right, if you have X amount of slides, or if you have, if you want 3 slides to be shown and your total width is Y, then the width of the slide is going to be Y divided by 3. And so what I think is happening is, if you notice in here, this page is super wide. And I think that it's calculating the width from the end of the wrapper over here. So we may have to set like a max width on our wrapper class, or maybe even like set the overflow to hide. But I don't want to do that yet, because I think it just has to do with the container width. So let's take a look at our list here. And it goes the full width. Okay. So I'm going to set the width. I'm just guessing here, but maybe 100%. Nope, that did not do it. Are you setting the width of the total slider? I don't think I need to do that. No, honestly, that was literally the thing that I just did there. Let's see, slider container. Maybe by making that relative, because right now it's static. So let's try doing that. And then the width of the wrapper. That's really strange. Might be having some CSS conflict. Could be. But I think honestly it's taking a look at like, all right, so if you want 3 slides to show, I think it's literally taking the full width of this and then saying, all right, those slides are going to be 78,000 pixels wide. Well, just to save sanity, what we're going to do is we're going to delete this. That was our first carousel, and we'll focus on this one here. So let's see. Our section is 100% of the body. And maybe we set the overflow to 0. Let's try that. Van Talen, we'll see you next time. Try 100 viewport width. We could do that. Yep. I like to stay away from using like fixed viewport widths as much as possible inside things. So let's try percentages, and then we'll see if that works. And Elizabeth says, usually for the sliders, I started with just HTML structure and applying the slide class. Yeah, I think that's what we have. We literally only have an image in here and, you know, the card width. So it's just a link container with an image in it. So it's nothing crazy. But one thing that t.ricks says in his video is that he says that the width of these cards doesn't even matter because the slider actually resets that width. And I think that that's what's happening. So it's going to base it on something. It's going to base it on a percentage of something. So let's see if by changing the positioning of the section, container, and the wrapper to relative, and by just limiting the overflow of the section, let's see if that works. Yeah, that would be great. If you could try an example and then share it with the community, it'd be great. Oh, I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you for all the follows. Rasmus Johansson, Mother Flustered, Xenon Inc. And thank you, Charlie, again for the raid. That was awesome. And Pantone 375C, thank you for the follow. Mystic, thank you for the follow. Van Talen, again, thank you for the follow. I think this is the second time you followed me. I don't know, it's weird. Oi Broove, thank you for the follow. All right, we're ready. Let's see. Negative. It's still doing something weird. Let's see how wide this image is again. All right, so we're making progress. So we went from a width of 78,000 pixels now down to a width of 9,600. Still way too large, but at least now we're getting somewhere. Thing is it's still displaying in a list format on top of each other, which I have no idea why either. And these issues are just with Chrome extensions, nothing in the code. All right, so in the slide configs, you set how many slides you want visible, and you can change that in breakpoints. Yep. Yeah, so we've done that. Could it be an issue where the breakpoint of my browser is just too crazy? Maybe we zoom out a little bit. No, it's 100%. Weird. It's not that. Okay, so I don't think it's an issue with... Let's see if we can figure this out real quick. Let's convert these to pixels just to be sure. Okay, so he set a height for his card. Maybe that's an issue here. Let's try that. About right. We can refine that later. That's the issue. All right. So that's the inside. The embed is set to 100% width and height. He's styling his background video there. Then again, card is width auto and height 40 VW. So he's setting a 100% width on the card and height for 40. So let's just make sure that that's set. Yep, 100%. And then we need 15 because it's a different aspect ratio. All right, so the list, he's moving to flexbox, align centered, and justified left. List. Yep, line centered, justify left. And then each item is a set width of 30 VW and a minimum width of 30 VW. Just close that for now. Yeah, so we've got that. Card. So then he's putting a text container in there. He's working on the video stuff. And now he's in the slick slider. This is strange. What's up, Jack Beard? Okay, section. Oh, 100 VW, 100 pixels. Let's see. Container. It's all set to relative. So the wrapper does not have an inherent width. But I don't think that his wrapper did either. Just make sure that we're styling each. So that's the item. Oh, you're 89 nodes. Oh, what's up? All right. Okay, so here he is in his list. And he basically, like, all these settings match. So we're not seeing any difference on width. He's not setting a width. He's not setting a height because the list technically is going to expand. Yeah. I did get a Slack message, yes. All right. So Slick Slider will come in and they will edit the width of this B item class. And it's probably going to be 33% of the container because we want to display 3 slides at once. And the container is the list and it's super wide. So I don't know. All right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna set a width of 100%, which should draw the width from the container, but let's see. Sure doesn't. Let's see. All right, let's see. Let's see. Anybody in chat have any ideas? Thingy. Oh no, Jackbeard, tired of the interview process, the interview churn. We actually have a couple of videos on the channel about interviewing from Petrula Vrontikis, who works with Art Center. I highly recommend checking those out. All right, so you can see we want to show 3 slides at any given point. We want to scroll one at a time, and this is the speed and all that kind of stuff. None of that stuff should impact the width. It's got to be a weird CSS thing. Let's try publishing it and see where we're at. Well, you have my sympathy because I know how weird that can get, interviewing a whole bunch. So you didn't get the job at Streamlabs? Bummer. That sucks. The only suggestion is to take an empty local web page and try and make the slick work in there, and then try and compare that to what you have on Webflow. I think that would probably be beneficial. What we could do is try on a completely blank page, because we do have some other code in there that might be presenting some conflicts, but everything is classed pretty unique, so I don't really necessarily understand why it's taking the way it's displaying in the designer and twisting it on the front end. Because it's even overwriting the flex display on our wrapper. So let's go ahead and check this out. Still the same. So you see how the thumbnails are stacked on top of each other. So it's taking, it's even stripping the flex away from the wrapper. So here's the class B list, display flex. Sorry, Anna Lisbo, you might be getting buried in the chat. Did you import the Slick CSS? Let's see. That should be in here. And it's right here, just the style, right? So right there, list display block. So it's changing the way that the list is displayed. Are you planning on sharing your site after you finish it with the Webflow community? Probably, as far as like a clonable site for the future, definitely not. My personal site, maybe. So here's the code that we were importing from t.ricks. this might be the issue right there, because it's taking our list. Oh, you know what? We changed the class name. So we didn't update this fully all the way. Let's try this again. I think I just figured it out. All right, so in the actual, I think this is JavaScript here. If it's not, please correct me in the chat. We updated our list to be list, but we didn't change those classes up here. So let's try this. Be list. And then what do we call our item? Be item. Holy hell, if that's what has been the issue this whole time. Oh my god. So we set be list, we set a width on that, so I'm going to remove that. And let's try this one more time. I never followed sports, except for when I was in college. I went to both Clemson and USC in South Carolina. And when I was in USC, the last year before graduation, we got a new coach, and that was Steve Spurrier. And his thing was chucking his visor. And if this doesn't work, I really wish that I had a visor to like throw across the field. But if it does work, I don't know. The way I used Slick was just by adding the Slick slider class to the wrapper. Would never touch the Slick CSS. It might be different with Webflow though, because when Webflow publishes things to the front end, sometimes they tweak the class names and stuff. So a lot of custom code, if it doesn't work, it's usually that your class names got changed. And that's why when we're doing kind of class names, we're moving away from using capital letters. We're moving away from using spaces, which some of the junior guys were literally using spaces in their classes. So we're moving away from all that so that we make sure that anytime we call any custom code that calls those classes, there's no conflicts. Should it take this long to publish? No, it normally doesn't. But the thing is that we have, I want to say we have 30 collections on this website, and each one of them has, you know, upwards of 20 items a piece. And then the largest one has, I think, 300 items. And for our product pages, we've even maxed out the number of collection fields that we can have. So this site is like super huge, which is why it's taking so long to publish. And Elisbo, you know, anything helps. So we're kind of venturing into the unknown right now. That's cool. All right, let's check it. Oh man. I had such high hopes. All right, let's see what's going on. So you can see the width is 31,000 here, and it's saying it's pulling from a style of just 100%. So we can kind of track that upwards right there. So this width applied to the element is applied by the Slick slider, and that's what's causing us some issues. All right, the Slick track, It's setting the width at 627,000 pixels wide. Whoa. What just happened? Oh, it's a new tab. Okay. And so it kind of makes sense that 627,000 divided by... It's supposed to be divided by 3, so that doesn't even make sense there. Yeah, if you notice that each one of these has a fixed width applied to it of 31,380 pixels. It's really strange. Could be something caching related? I don't think so. Okay, so there might be an issue if your wrapper is in display flex, because you sliders off to the left. Yeah, it's pulling the width from this container here, but let's try what Analispo says. So your wrapper is in display flex. So let's go ahead. Nope, it's block. Could be maybe the container. So let's just move that, and we'll remove that for section. So the section now is block, and the container is also block. And then the wrapper is block, and so the only thing that's flex is the list. Let's try publishing that and see how it goes. Neolithra? Is it because the slider is off to the left and you have viewport width values set? Even though there's overflow on the page and there's a nasty like side scroll right now, viewport width should calculate on the browser width. So I don't think that would do much, but I'll give it a try. Yeah, try one thing and publish and see how it goes. I can tell you, I can actually promise you that it's something really dumb and something really small. It's something that, like, as soon as we find it, it's going to be. I want you to notice something though. When we changed the display settings of the section and the container to block instead of flex, look at the list. The list wrapper is living inside of the container now. So I'm kind of thinking that that's going to do it. But we'll see. Get rid of cache here. Yeah, there's a close bracket. Look at that. Woo! We did it. I think. Maybe. We'll see. That was it. Okay, so Anna Lisbo, I owe this to you. Thank you. It works now, guys. Look at this. All right, so important announcement. Your section and your container cannot be display flex. And that was it. I told you, something so silly. Yep, it was just the flex. Man, this is where we need like emojis and emotes and all sorts of crazy stuff in the chat. Come on, guys. This is a big win. Whew, I didn't think we were going to get this, but we got it. Visors are safe. Yeah, no spur or throw right now. The seltzer tastes better when you're winning, right? All right. Oh, there it is. Some GGs in the chat. Nice. Thanks, AA. Woo woo. All right, so now we've got a slider that works, where it's draggable. It's going to be clickable. It happens one at a time. And so right now, all we need to do is we need to start building in our directional arrows, and then we need to start building our hover effects. So, but this is a big win, guys. Seriously, like, we have not been able to get this far so far. So yeah, pumped, super pumped. Old t.ricks is going to be proud. I hope. All right, cool. Okay, so just checking like formatting and stuff like that, styling on desktop. I really like the fact that it's align left, and that you can kind of see a preview of the next slide here. And the reason why I like that is because it just kind of indicates that there's more to see. The one thing that I think we're going to have to fix is this side scroll, but I think we can do this on the section level with hiding the overflow. So that won't be a big deal. Whew, that's a relief. Okay, so we'll hide the overflow here. And publish one more time just to make sure that that's fixed. Start in on the fun stuff. I'm calling my mom right after this stream, and I'll be like, Mom, I fixed it. The dynamic content management slider. I did it. I did it. Yeah, overall flow. Okay, yeah. How we doing on publish? So the cool thing is that we probably won't need to publish this every single time. Really, we're just checking slider functionality on this, which is the custom code layer. But all the hover effects and all the cool stuff that we're going to do to the individual card, we can just check by previewing it before we publish. So, yeah. Completes carousel, adds a shot of rum to coffee, and turns off stream. Yeah, that's it. It's only 12 o'clock here, and I'm done for the day after this. Oh my God. Famous last words. That won't be a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Anna Lisbo, you're my hero. Thank you for mentioning that. The stream might run a little long today, so I hope that's okay. Checking my calendar, making sure that I have no conflicts. Yeah, so I got to jet out of here at 2:30 for a meeting, but we can go an extra hour. See if we've already applied these changes, and I'll go ahead and refresh this. I'm streaming on the same computer that I'm working on in Chrome here, so eventually I'm probably gonna have to just reboot Chrome. Let's see. Yeah, so that fixed it. I'm side scrolling right now, and you can see there's no scroll bar at the bottom of the browser. So the hide overflow fixed it, and nice. Slider still works. Cool. All right, next up, we need to add buttons. we need to add card formatting. We need to add a headline to this, or a header here, and then duplicate it. All right. Oh, am I clipping? I wonder. Yeah. You guys let me know how the stream quality is, because Webflow definitely uses some of your CPU, and in this case probably a lot, as we're publishing tons. So just keep me in the loop as to the stream quality. I have a little monitor here and it says it's a little unstable, but I thought your ISP was failing. No, it's, if anything, it's my stuff. All right, let's start doing some cool stuff here. Okay, going back to XD. So this is the way that our hover effect, this is the way that we designed our hover effect. On hover, the video would, or the thumbnail would increase in size, and then a title and a watch button would kind of fold up. So we'll focus on that first. Now the way that we're going to do this stuff is with Webflow Interactions. And I think I'm going to go add a hover effect to the piece inside the card. Here's what's going through my head right now. If we increase the size of the whole card, it won't do anything about the padding that we've assigned to these edges. So you can see these gaps in between the cards, that's padding. And so by increasing the size of the whole card, that padding is just going to, it's going to stay the same. So it's just going to push those things out. It's just going to push the cards next to it out, which is not the desired effect. So I'm thinking that we have to expand the contents of the card versus the card itself. And you know, now that I'm thinking about it, before we get there, we should probably make sure that our buttons work. So maybe we start with that. Let's go ahead and start with this this button. And the thing about it is the button has to interact with the Slick slider code so that when you press it, it rotates, you know, it moves the slide, moves the slide container by one slide. So I think that that's the problem that I want to solve right now, because that involves the custom code, and as we've seen, that can be a little tricky. Okay. So first, let's check out how Tim did it, and then we will attempt it ourselves.
And we will also want arrows probably to be able to click, and that way you don't have to drag. You could do either or. So we're going to drag in a link block, and we'll give this a class of arrow. And then inside that, we're going to have an image, So we can drag in the back arrow first inside the link block. We'll call this arrow underscore image and set the width using EMs, something like that. And then what we can do is grab this slider title and then use Flexbox to center align and then distribute so that the arrow's on one side, the title's on the other. And then we'll want one more arrow, so I'm actually going to duplicate this arrow. And then
so it's important to notice his hierarchy here. One thing I was concerned about is putting the buttons inside of the same section as the actual slider, but it looks like he's doing that with no issues. It's not in the collection item, which are these purple icons here. It's not inside the actual list. It's kind of like on top of it, but it's still within the same container and it's still within the same section. So those are important to call out at this point.
This one, I'm going to replace the image with the forward arrow. And then we're going to want to group those arrows together. So I'll drag in a div and call these arrow contain. So this is what's going to hold both of them. So I'll drag in both the forward and back arrow.
We'll see you, Daniel.
Into that arrow contain. That's looking pretty good. We'll give this some left margin using EMs just to space it off from each other a little bit. And then this whole title container, we can give some padding using EM just on both sides.
So right now he's styling his buttons to live above the slider. We're going to do things a little bit differently, but I just don't want to skip anything just to make sure that we don't miss something like a stupid flex display that's going to ruin the whole thing. So that's why we're paying attention to this.
So that it kind of aligns with our slides here. And then this one I may actually bump it over a little bit. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe we reduce some of this distance a little bit. And I may even want to increase the font size some on here. And then we can also, let's see, set a weight and maybe bring the space in a little bit, negative 0.05 EM or 0.03.
Just formatting the styling of the heading. Again, not super applicable, but I'm not skipping anything.
And then let's also add some padding top and bottom, or just bottom really, is all we need to this container. That way it's kind of not touching the slide. So that is that works for that. So the next thing we need to do is actually make these work to where when you click on it, something happens. So if we go into our slider code, you'll notice we have slider previous as a class and slider next as a class, and they both have their.
Okay, so Analispo, I think those are the buttons that you're talking about in the Slick Slider configs. Yep.
Own function, but we had to tell it what slider do we want this to work on, and it's going to be the slider with the slider ID here. So we'll copy that ID.
Okay, so just to make things like just a little bit more complex, we have a situation where we're going to have multiple sliders on one page. And so if we have buttons, if we have arrow buttons on 6 different sliders that are all classed as this slider preview or slider previous and slider next, then we're going to have to duplicate this code snippet and change the class of every single slider button. Or we use some other custom code that Tim actually put in a comment for me. So we're going to try that. So we're going to change this part of it and try for something that's a little bit more dynamic. Because if we were to replicate this and just duplicate those sliders all the way down, let's say you click the button on slider 1, every single slider would activate if we kept things as is here. Because he's only got one slider on his page. We're going to have many.
That's a slider ID. And then we'll grab the collection list and we'll give it an ID right here of slider ID and hit enter. And then now it should work. We just need to add a class to these link blocks. So this would be slider dash prev, P-R-E-V. And then this link block, we would add a combo class of slider dash next. That way when we click it, it takes us to the next slide. So let's go ahead and publish that and we'll test it out. Arrows. Let's see.
Did you guys see that jump cut? Something went wrong there. You cut it out. I'm on to you, Tim.
Okay, so I have a little bit of an issue I'm noticing here. I think that I probably need it to set a width on this to 100% width. Let's just change this to block for now and see what happens. So with block it works. It's really weird. What I can do instead is actually just grab this container and change it to relative. And then under float, we can just make it float to the right. And then this title here, we'll do relative and float to the left. And that should hopefully do the trick. Not sure why it wasn't liking Flexbox. It's kind of strange. Okay, so we have that. It appears to be working. We can click the arrows. It's looking good.
Cool. So that's what we want to do. Our arrows are not going to be on top though. They're going to be on the sides of the slider with some transparent gradients underneath. So let's go to XD. So our buttons need to live over here. And in the past, in the slider that we've done previously, we've had divs that basically look like this. Let's just drag that out. So we've got a big box that has a gradient applied to the background. And then we've got our button icon here. So this whole thing needs to be a link block so that the cursor detects like, hey, this is a clickable area. And then when the user clicks, it scrolls slider. So that's what we're going to attempt to recreate. And I think the way that we have to do that is we have to set this box to absolute positioning with a Z index that's pretty high. So it floats on top of the slider container. And then when you click it, it's going to be classed right, so it'll still apply. Okay, so I'm going to go and into Webflow and format this and get this all styled correctly, and then we'll do our custom code piece. So I'm just getting the widths all set up, and you can see now the button aligns pretty much with the edge of the slider here. And we'll set the background gradient. This was a tip that I picked up last time, which is add your black gradients to 2 points, and then it doesn't do anything. So let's try this again. Set this to black, then turn the opacity all the way down, and then remove that, slide that all the way over, and then we'll go 90 degrees. Can't really tell if it's the right direction. So real quick, I'm gonna change the color to something ridiculous here. All right, so yeah, so this is the right direction. What it's doing is it's going from a hard black on the other, on the left side, to what will be a transparent black. And it's important to do the transparent black because as the gradient steps through its middle zone there, it's going to match the background color, which is the same black. If you had it as going from black to white, and the white was the transparent side, it actually calculates some middle grays in the middle, and then it does transparent versions of the middle grays, which doesn't really match. So somebody in the chat gave this tip last time, which is great. Okay, so let's fix this up. So we'll put another point, make that black, and turn the opacity all the way down. And remove the yellow. Removing the yellow. And we'll set this to 30%. And that's at 90 degrees. Okay. All right. So that's our background gradient, and then we'll add another div here. You know what? I actually forgot to make that a link block. So we'll change that out real quick. Do B slider left. I'm gonna rename that. Okay. Just delete that. And now we've got our link block. So that's the image wrapper, and we'll throw an image inside of that. So since we have our holy smokes, are we back? That was terrible. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see it. It's probably mine, guys. It's raining here, and even though I pay for gig internet, it's still weird. Okay, let me know if we're back. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. That's crazy. I'll be calling my ISP right after this. Okay, so what we're doing was we're styling the arrow button on this slider. So we'll do something crazy like 4VW of a button radius. That'll make it a perfect circle. Here we go 5 just to be sure. Or we could just do 200 pixels. Same thing. Put a 2 pixel border on that. Wow. Maybe even 3. That looks cool. And then we'll add some padding. And that will push yeah, Rada. So we're still working on the carousel. Yes, sir. All right, so we got our arrow, and we'll just class that as b arrow image. Okay, so we got a cool looking circular button. Probably reduce the, make it a little less thick. And we'll display this as flex, centered, and centered. Okay. So there's that. And then we just need to duplicate this. Okay. Duplicate this class and rename it right button. Change the positioning to hug to that side. And then just swap this image out for a right arrow. And then we need to change our gradient because you can see that the edge of the gradient is on the left side still. So we just flip it. Maybe go 270, right? Nope. There we go. Okay, so I think we need a little bit more black here. So I'm just gonna bump this up to maybe like a 45% position. So that way the middle point is there. And maybe that's too much, maybe 40%. We'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so previewing that. That looks great. And then on top of the whole thing, we can add a, let's go ahead and add a header div. Add a heading. Make that H2. We should have a combo class here. Go H3. Oh, maybe it's white. Yeah, it's white. There we go. Still a little large, maybe H4. We'll work with that for now. Let's see. B slider header wrapper. And add 1 VW of padding. That way it lines up. And then maybe we'll go too far. There we go. Okay. All right, so that's styled correctly for desktop. I'm not going to worry about mobile right now. But you can see the link blocks are detecting, you know, the cursor is detecting that this is a link block. And now we're ready to kind of move into some code. Still don't like the way this is styled though. H3. That might be mo better. Mo better. It's not. Okay. All right, so now we're moving into custom code to make these buttons on the side that we just added work. It's showing the connection is still unstable, guys. I'm so sorry about that. Hang with me if you'd like. Otherwise, you know, feel free to bail. I know it's frustrating to watch a stream that like continually drops out. So I'm gonna still work on this, but you know, if you guys need to bail, if it's too frustrating, let me know. And I will be definitely calling my ISP, making sure that they hear from me. Okay, cool. I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but it's difficult to kind of track while working. Right. So we're down here in our custom code. And this is the piece of text that we're going to change. So if I go back over here to Tim, he responded with some code that we're going to try. All right, if .slider-prev, click function, if this is inside this section field, find the dot list and then Slick, that's the action that Slick Slider will perform. So we're gonna have to update these class names. I think I can go ahead and add the slider-prev and slider-next classes here. All right, slider-prev, slider-next. And then we need to update these classes because this section, I think we did something different here, and then we also did something different here. And I'm pretty sure it was b-list. So if we've got our the carousel section, so I'm just gonna, okay, there we go. Just gonna copy that and replace our custom code here, our class callout in the custom code with the correct thing. Okay. And then inside the list, here's the container and here's the list. So we just need to make that adjustment. And what this adaptation is going to do is it's basically going to look for the slider that's inside the same section wrapper as the button that was clicked. Instead of identifying things by ID, which is like a hard thing, it's like a hard, I don't even know what the term for it is, but basically when you click on this button, it's going to say, all right, look for the carousel that's in the same section as the button and move that. Okay, so let's publish and see how it goes. Hard-coded. Thank you. I think it would be cool to do one of these streams with a developer. There'd be a good like back and forth because Anna Lisbo, your feedback has been really valuable. So it'd be really cool to like do something this live and like figure this out together. I always tell people I know just enough code to like know how to break things. So I always get in over my head and wind up on Stack Overflow all the time. Yeah. All right. Let's see if it works or if we broke everything. Okay, we broke something. So we got a wrap situation here where the last item is wrapping around, but we'll see if this works. It does not. Okay, so this still works. It's just wrapping for some reason. Okay, let's try some things out. I have a feeling it's because maybe these are positioned to absolute. I don't know. Tell you what, let's get less fancy and reduce the number of items in our list. Okay, we're only showing 20. So let's reduce it to 4 and see if it still wraps. Could do a Discord chat with one of us. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that next time. I think that it would probably take some like pre-planning to where we're both like focused on the one problem that we need to solve. Because I'd hate to throw anybody in there and you know, like, hey, this is an expert developer, and have you guys scratching your head too. Don't want that. All right, while this is publishing, I'm gonna run the restroom. Be right back. All right, we are back. I went ahead and exited out of Chrome to see if I could get in here with a fresh cache. I don't know. See if that helps. All right, let's go here. Go. And Elizabeth, thanks for joining. I know you're probably out of here by now, but thank you. You fixed that main part, so I was thrilled to have you in the chat. AAOA, you have been immensely helpful as well. All right, let's get back to our page here. And we'll go ahead and view this. All right, so even with 4, it's wrapping, and that's probably having something to do with the buttons that we just added. Right. So let's get a little less crazy and just go relative and relative. And we'll see if that has anything to do with it. It might be flex display as well. Dark Fury, thanks for the follow. Take, thanks for the follow. Mr. Brand, or MJR Brandman, thanks for the follow. Charlie Bitme, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that, guys. And gals. All right, let's refresh. Okay, so it's not absolute. It's throwing it. And it's definitely still wrapping, but it's sliding as if this was already there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn child wrapping off in Flex. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Go to my list here, and children don't wrap. It's already on. That's really strange. Okay, let's try this here, and we'll pull that up above the slider. So before, the thing that was kind of throwing this is that the section and the container were in Flex. So they're not. Let's try one more game. Dark Fury, thanks for hanging in there. Have a good night. For many parts of the world, it is all right. We'll see you, Niall Thra. For many parts of the world, it's Friday night, so I'm surprised that you guys are hanging out. Appreciate that. Although there's not really many places to go right now, I guess. Has anyone told you that you have a maybe soothing voice? It's like listening to Headspace. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Can be the Friday peaceful ASMR Webflow building. I get triggered by that ASMR stuff. It's like, whoo. I'm not a fan. Publishing is taking a little bit long, even for our site. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we've got display issues here, number one. Number two, the buttons don't work because this button should be clickable and it should move this thing over because it's already reserving spaces here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate this. You guys don't like it either? Yeah. Tell you what, man. It's probably my internet. I guess when it rains, all the wires go crazy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Here's the important thing. Here's the cool thing. Cool thing is that we have a slider that's draggable, that works, that's populating dynamically. So we've made some killer progress so far. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate this section. And we're just going to work on the bottom one. We'll send the top one back to its original state. Removing that stuff, and we'll see if that kind of helps things out a little bit with that top one. My laptop is being too slow. First time hearing ASMR. Oh God. Some people love it. Some people, it's basically like, I don't even know. How would you even describe it? It's like the ambient sounds of things happening while someone whispers really close to the mic, which is turned all the way up, so you hear the sound of their teeth and their, it's just, I don't know, it grosses me out, but a lot of people really like it. A lot of people like find it very calming and soothing. Not my cup of tea, not my cup of coffee either. Low sounds played at a high volume. That's pretty easy. All right, so you notice that it's the issue of wrapping is still happening even in the section that's not that doesn't have all the extra stuff. So it definitely has to do with the custom code. I think that the only ASMR stuff that I like is the things that don't have voice assigned to them, or like sometimes they do unboxings where they put the microphone really close to the package as they're unwrapping it, and so sometimes those sounds of like the knife going through the tape and the crinkle of the paper as it opens, that's kind of cool. But as far as like people's voices and like the sounds of their anatomy, no thanks. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Custom code. Okay. So we've got pretty much everything input right on this side. It could be changing our class because we use a capital letter in that. So let's see if... All right, look at there right here. B Carousel Section. That's the way that it classed this entire div. And if we go back into our editor, you can see that it's B Carousel Section with a capital letter. So we're gonna rename this class to just include lowercase letters. I mentioned that, and it's a habit that I'm trying to break, not using like camel text, I think it's called. Oh snap, did I put a space in there? Yikes. But that might be the issue. It might be looking for something in a class that it just doesn't see on the page. So let's fix this. And then B list, slider-prev, slider next. Okay. Yeah, camel case, there you go. All right, let's publish that and see if it's any better. Now, keyboard ASMR I could get into. Not for anything like super clicky, but like linear switches. Yeah, I like that. Rain, like rain and thunder. When we were living in Los Angeles, I used to put on like a thunder, like an endless loop of a thunderstorm on the big TV. Because our apartment in Los Angeles was pretty small. It was like 950 square feet. And there was 2 kids up in there. So to get anything done, we'd have to like figure something out. And we don't want to like put them in front of the TV all day. So to control the noise, to put like a peaceful environment in place, we'd throw a thunderstorm loop on the TV, just audio. And it's amazing how it changes the entire mood of the house. So that was really, really nice. So if that's ASMR, I could get into it, but I don't want to listen to somebody's like cheeks flopping around. Publishing. Okay, so it's still wrapping, so there's still an issue, but look, the buttons work. So that was the issue there. So now we just got to figure out why it's wrapping, even though we're telling it not to wrap. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this back to absolute positioning. Oh no, are we stuck again? This is crazy. It has to be either CPU resources, which if that's the case, it's an easy fix. I'll just use my second computer to do the Webflow work on it, and then we'll just stream out of this one. Or the ISP, because I have never seen Webflow have any of these issues. It's really strange. I sound like a fanboy, but honestly, like that's been my experience. All right, so I'm gonna change these buttons back to absolute. Streamlabs OBS is bad for CPU. Yeah, I've had similar issues like in the office with just regular OBS too. So I'll just split it up. I've got another computer back there that I haven't turned on stream yet, so it won't be a big deal. Okay, so right here it says children don't wrap, which should prevent this one from wrapping around and stacking underneath. So what we got to figure out is why it's doing that. And I think it's probably going to have something to do with the way that we have our width set up. There might be a fixed width thing, maybe in inside of our item class. So we've got 100% and then a height of 15 VW. It may need to go away. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. And then, so we're just keeping it to widths, because sometimes like that height can also have implications on the width. So let's try that. Let's see if that works. Okay, you use 2PC setup for streams too? Yeah. How long did it take you to get used to the Webflow editor? Not too long. I would not. I don't consider myself to be an expert at this at all yet. But I can make things happen pretty quickly, and maybe a couple of weeks. It's so intuitive because it plays the same way a lot of like the design software plays. So it's really easy if you know how to use things like XD or Illustrator or Photoshop. It's super easy to get used to. All right, so there it is. Buttons are working, and we just got to fix that wrap. I'm so used to Mac keyboard shortcuts. They keep hitting the wrong one. But the crazy thing is that even though the example of the carousel that we have with no buttons, even this one is wrapping for some reason. So something's weird. It's almost like the container is not wide enough for all of the items. And then it's getting into a little conundrum there. And it may be because we're using VW as our padding. Let's try this. Try to add a fixed height. I actually did have a fixed height in VW, but I guess that's responsive. A fixed height to the wrapper, you mean? Add a capture card to your PC and plug your Mac to it. That way you still have all your habits and shortcuts without the CPU bottleneck. Yeah, I think The only problem is that I work on a 38-inch screen, so trying to get that to play nicely with my capture card is an issue. All right, so we're just going to take this back to basics and remove all of the padding. And we'll just reset the padding to pixels. We'll see if that changes things. Matter of fact, I wonder if in preview, if it'll still do it. Nope, preview's good. Publish. Fixed height for the wrapper. Yeah, that might be the trick. So anyway, on the stream, I sent an email into Elgato, and they're trying to help me out with adding an EDID that will support the screen. So hopefully that'll get fixed. Not an issue. It should work fine, especially if your Mac is closed. Okay, well, if you got this, man, hit me up in Discord and we'll chat about it. I would love some input, especially from somebody who's been streaming for a while. I don't know why it would hog so much computer power. I've got a 3700 in here, I believe. So it should be able to handle this stuff, but yeah, go for it. Ask. I'm not sure how to say your name. I think it's Shaby. While you're typing that, anybody play Season 2 Warzone last night when it came out? I did, and I was really trying to see a zombie, but I just couldn't get there. Just died every single time with the 40 million people that were landing in the same place. Okay, so it's still happening even if we move the padding out. It's almost like the track is not wide enough for all the elements on the inside. It's really strange. My school wants me to do work experience and I want to do it with you. Yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate that, AA. What are they asking you to do? Is it like an internship? It's so strange. I'm looking for any kind of wrapping that might be happening here. Otherwise, we could just add a fixed height, so. I mean, that does it, but it doesn't do anything for the for the wrapping. A challenge at every turn. You know what? I wonder if it's because we're setting a VW width on the inside somewhere. Just evidence that you work 60 hours. How does that work? Is it for college or university, high school? Yo, Marcelo. Hello. I think it was already working, but is it related to the overflow from earlier? It's not related to the overflow from earlier. It happened as soon as we added the custom code for the buttons. So, not sure what's going on. What's the end result we are working to this time? Still grinding on that slider. It's it's something else. High school, 17. Okay. Well, typically what we do is we open up internships for more than 60 hours. But if you have a very, very clear vision of what you would want to do and how you would want to accomplish it, what I should suggest is send an email into the support@thefuture.com and just, you can write it to me. I'll have the customer team send it directly my way, and just give me the plan and let me know what you think. And we'll see if it's something that we can fit in. As you can imagine, like, there's tons of people out there that are looking for mentorship, and so typically we'll partner them up with someone in the pro group or someone on the team that has the bandwidth to mentor them. But if it's something like work experience or job shadowing, we may be able to work that out. All right. So the wrapping issue has nothing to do with the formatting of this, of the buttons. It has to do with something that we've done inside the custom code. Item B list. Great. I'll look for that email. It's support@thefuture.com. All right, we're going to Stack Overflow. Finally. I don't even think we have an option to set rows. It's not going to help us. This can happen when you've got even number slides to show with center mode on. That doesn't make sense because we have an odd amount. And then this guy says set make sure you set this setting, which we already have set. It's got to be something in here, inside here. So this is set to 100%. This is 100%. And then this is a VW. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this to 100%. And I know it looks crazy, but I'm going to publish it and see if it works. Because I think that by setting that at 28 VW, it's like it fixes that width of the item. And then Slick Slider is using that to calculate the width of the track. And then resizes the item, which may resize it to be larger than 28 VW, which is causing the wrapping because the track is not wide enough to fit. I was just wondering, how does your day look now that most of us are work from home, and how do you stay productive? No, it's cool. It's cool that it's off topic. I mean, we're going to wait for a minute to publish. So losing balance on when I should step back from working. I think that the balance between work and then everything else has always been an issue for me. If it were up to me, I would sit down at my desk at first thing when I woke up and then work all the way through the day into the night. And then when it's time to go to sleep, then I would go to sleep. Aside from, hobbies like gaming or watching YouTube and stuff like that. And I think that, like, for me, having kids helped. I'm not recommending that you go out and have kids, but like, they're out there waiting for me to come out. They're out there waiting for my work day to be done. And so what I've done is just kind of set the time limit, just as it's the same thing that, it's the same as like working from an office. I start work at around 10 and I usually end around 7. So that's 9 hours with an hour break for lunch, which I hang out with them too during lunch. So I think that, like, literally setting time frames for yourself can help. But also just kind of keep your emotional state in mind too, because that's a big issue for, oh God. You can kind of sense when you're about to go into burnout mode, and that's what you want to avoid. Okay, so that did not work. So how about we just use pixels? And we keep it simple. Yeah, little kiddo's waiting. The custom code is using the z-index property or properly. I'm not sure what z-index would have to do with the width and the wrapping. Can you expand on that? Tell you what, maybe we go 33.33%. I'm resisting using pixels, but I'll set it as a minimum. No, I'm not. Not going to do it. Yeah, sometimes during the stream, I'll literally hear them outside of the door and they're just like, Daddy, where are we going? Hypothesis, but overlaying the buttons with z-index will allow the carousel object in and of itself to retain the width. I think they are. So they're positioned absolute. So they're positioned according to the container. And the carousel is another item inside that container. So that it should be, should not consider those buttons in anything, right? Or are you saying maybe we move the buttons under the carousel and as far as like the hierarchy inside this div, and then move the carousel under the buttons with z-index? That might do something. Okay, yeah. Has the connection been better in the past, like 30 minutes. Okay, still having issues. All right. But the thing is that even if we don't, okay, good, pretty good overall. Even if we don't have those buttons on the slider itself, it's still wrapping. So it has to be something else. Oh, this is crazy. I'm gonna start to lose patience here in a minute. Do you think that learning to code or Webflow is the future for designers? I mean, if you're in web, like I said in the last stream, I don't think that you ever need to learn how to be a coder, because then you'd be a coder. But I do think that learning some front end HTML and CSS is pretty vital. And I wouldn't say maybe it's not vital. It's just, it's super nice to have, because you can imagine some crazy stuff and then go for development and it's just not even possible. So I would recommend at least learning how the box model works, some basic CSS, so that when you're designing things, you kind of have like the end result in mind. You can try a hack so you don't need to publish that much. Drop the HTML code into an embed. What? That's cool. I didn't know that. All right, so let's try this here. Let's try this suggestion. No, but even with the one that doesn't have buttons up top, it still wraps now, which is really strange. So let's try this. Let's try something. Here we go. Yeah, it's Slick Carousel. Yep. Okay, I'm just going to try removing this code. That's the code for the button, and then republishing and seeing if it wraps. Because then we'll know. Chelor88, where have you been, man? I needed you. Oh man, okay. Short story while this is publishing. My oldest daughter Willow and I were playing dinosaurs yesterday. Or maybe it was the day before yesterday. And she had the pterodactyl and she was like swooping in, and the pterodactyl toy is like this big and the T.Rex toy is like this big. So it's a little bit, you know, it's not grounded in reality. So she was like swooping in and attacking the T.Rex, knocking the T.Rex over. And then she looked up to me and she goes, "Daddy, the T.Rex is a mean creditor." I was like, "What?" She was like, "It's a mean creditor, the meanest." And I was like, "You got that right, baby. It is a mean creditor." Okay, so it's some. How did we break this? How did we break this? It's not the custom code. It's something that we did here. A mean redditor? A mean creditor. Yeah. She was going for mean predator, but you know, that 5-year-old cuteness. Okay, so it's not the custom code because we just removed all that. It's something that we did in oh Jesus, now I forgot where we put that. It was there. Right? Yeah. I'm gonna double check just to be sure. This is the tutorial that we've been following here. yeah, 2 brackets after. All right. Any exclamation important? There's one that's built into the code, but that comes from Slick Slider. So we did not add any of that. We've been tweaking the width of the items, but we've been trying with, like, we had it set at 28 VW, and then we had a height set. Maybe it's the height, guys. Maybe it's the height, because we removed the fixed height of the card, and that might have been it. Let's see. Maybe. $15 VW. Let's see. So far, it's not conflicting CSS. It's literally something that we did here, and it's probably me trying to be super responsive and fancy when I just need to set pixel widths for all these cards and see if that would fix it. I don't want to do that, but I will if I need to. You had to untangle 15,000 lines of CSS played with importance. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I certainly am guilty of that, but I question everything I love and pray for explosive diarrhea to the original dev. No! Oh, can't do that to that guy. See if that does anything. Nope. It made it worse. Hmm. Five-year-olds is the funniest thing. Yours really likes Harley Quinn. It suddenly goes super quiet and says, "I'm gonna beat you." Yeah, that's funny. You know, it's funny because, like, we've been fighting for this slider for a couple of days now, and it seems like every turn there's just something. This project, it's just one of those. You guys know how it is. It's one of those. All right, so change this. Maybe we'll do 200 pixels high. Nope, that's too. Just set that, and then the width to. Okay, that looks really dumb, but let's try publishing it. See if Slick Slider will resize it. Can you paste here the internal Webflow link so I can try to debug something with the inspector? Yeah, sure. Meaning like the dev link? Sure. Throwing it in the Twitch chat for those of you still on YouTube. These streams, like these long kind of work sessions where we're hanging out, we're working together, they do not seem to go over well on YouTube as far as live goes. It's really interesting. But the Twitch community is really used to like hanging out, which I find is quite cool. So that's the dev page. That's what we're working on right now. Control Z. Just Control Z all the way back to where it was. But I think it's because like with other Twitch streamers, it's like they're playing games, so there's a nice cadence to their stream where they play for a while and then they come back and they talk to the chat, and there's things going on screen and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out like how can I emulate their cadence, but also make sure that we get stuff done and make sure it's somewhat entertaining or educational for you guys. But I think that like the Twitch audiences in general are just trained to hang out, to stay, which is quite nice. It's good to have company. All right, here we go. Holy smokes. We did it. That's all it was. It was literally just pixels. Wow. Oh. I mean, what do you want to say? Like, I'm thrilled, but I'm also frustrated because I think I mentioned that probably a half an hour ago to try it, and I just was like, no, it's not that. VW will work. Whew. All right. So there's that. All right, what I want to do is maybe we take this and we increase the number of items in this carousel. Make sure it's working for a larger number of items. We'll go with 20. And then I also want to duplicate this guy. And just make sure that the buttons work on their own individual sliders like they should. So we can change this and filter it out by maybe category equals design. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, and then we'll publish it. One more GAN. Van Talen is back. The carousel literally just now started working. Just now. The issue was the width was being set by VW and it wasn't working. And as soon as I switched it over to pixels, now it works. So I'm relieved and furious at the same time. That Steve Spurrier visor is just gonna fly in a second. So just to recap while it's publishing, you can see here, this class, the B item, which is the collection item that has the container with the link and the thumbnail and all that kind of stuff. This was set to 28 VWs. For some reason, the container, the full, like, oh my God, guys, you know what? I'm wondering if it's because I had my inspector open. Devs, do viewport widths calculate to the edge of the browser or to the edge of the browser with the whatchamacallit, the inspector open? Was that it? Oh my God, that's so frustrating. Okay, so basically what was causing the wrapping is Slick Slider was calculating on this space, and then the minimum width of the item was calculating to the width of the browser. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. I should you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna change it, and then we're gonna test it to see if that's it. So let's see. First thing first, we've got two sliders with two sets of buttons. Let's make sure that they're both working on their own slider, and it does. It works. Beautiful. And it's also draggable. Nice. There it is. Okay, so let's see. Somebody tested it. It's not responsive. Correct. We haven't done any responsive work yet. Pop that inspector out in a new window. Oh man, how do we even do that? There it is. Okay. So obviously these work. We got to work on the positioning of this, but these work really nicely. Let's go back and change this. Just to see. All right, so we've got a fixed height. So I'm going to remove that. We got the width of the link to be 100% of its parent. And then the parent we have here set with pixels, but I'm going to change that back to 33 point, no, I'm going to do 33.33%. Because we want 3 cards in view at all times. And I'm going to publish that, and I'm going to see if the inspector was the issue. Okay, so you had the same issue with the item in the second line, but did not have the inspector turned on. Okay, let's see. Let's test it. We'll find out. This is something that like is super common in web design, having these sliders, and many people are looking for the answer to having a slider that's dynamic and linked to and relating to a collection inside Webflow. And this is probably the smoothest solution that I've been able to find. And so I just want to like make sure that we're on the right track and make sure that we have like, we've explained all the bugs that we've run into in this stream. There have been many. Okay, we're published. Yep, still wrapping. Okay, so that wasn't it. So it just can't be so incredibly responsive. We just have to set the pixel weight or the pixel width inside Webflow, and then go from there. The slider automatically resizes the card anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. We'll just have to deal with the way it looks on the designer here. So it's not going to look this perfect. So that's fine. Do 400 pixels. Nope. Slick slider is honestly pretty old. That issue may be avoided with something newer like Swiper 3. I'd be interested in anything you have. Like I said, this solution came from chat, so we watched a tutorial and implemented it. So send it to me on Discord though, because I seem to lose like chat history, and I went back to look something up before and I couldn't find it. So definitely shoot it to me in Discord or Slack or Instagram, you know, wherever. What are you guys up to this weekend? Okay, sounds good. For this weekend, I am taking the stuff from the pod, because we just moved. We moved in January, so I'm taking the stuff from the pod that we haven't unpacked yet, because right now we're living with my in-laws while we build a house, and we're moving those into a storage unit. So always fun. Moving. Sweetwater's Donuts with the fam. What? Delicious. Woods and fresh air, digital decut. Yeah, dude, that's beautiful. Perfect. Streaming design. Do me a favor. Next time you stream, put a link in Discord so that I know that you're live, and I'll join you. I'll come support you in chat. All right, so we set the We set the width in pixels, and now it's looking great. And the dragging works too. Beautiful. Okay, so that was it. That was the issue. All right, guys. So the next thing that I need to do is just set up the hover effects so that the description and the title folds up every single time, and we'll go from there. I think I'm going to end things here because the next phase is going to take probably an hour or two at least, and I got to run for a meeting at 2:30, so that's in 30 minutes from now. So I think I'm going to end things here. But I would call this a win, honestly. Like, this is it was a tough win, but I mean, check this out. It looks good. It looks really, really good. I mean, I'm sitting here complimenting myself, but as far as like sliders go, this is pretty cool. I like it. We need to work on the responsiveness, make sure it works on tablet and mobile. We need to align our breakpoints and got some styling to do. Probably want to center this button on the thumbnail and not the entire section. But as far as, this getting the functionality in place, I think we've nailed it. So yeah, slider conquered. Check. Whew. Yeah, it's getting there. Responsive is going to be fun, and I really like working with Webflow Interactions, and the hover effects, fading in the title, getting that description in there. It's going to be fun. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around, guys. This was a long one, and it was intense, at least for me. It was a nail biter for me. I didn't know if I was going to pull through on this one, but we figured it out. And thanks to everybody in the chat for helping out. Like, the devs in the chat really, you guys are the MVPs today. So thank you. Next stream, Tuesday, 10:30 is the next scheduled stream, but I might be doing some stuff this weekend. Depending on when the overhead rig gets here, I might build a keyboard. We might be playing some games. We might just be hanging out. I probably won't announce that like broad. It's definitely not going to go on any of the futures stuff or even Twitter. So please give me a follow on Twitch so that way you can get notified when I go live. And we'll hang out. We'll listen to some music and build some keyboards and play some games and stuff like that. And if you're interested, pop in Discord. It's this thing that I'm trying out. I'm kind of experimenting with Discord. We may bring it into the future and use it for our communications, with our alumni. But right now it's nice. It's an intimate Discord, and yeah, would love to have you there. The link is in the profile, and it's also in my Instagram bio. So thanks again, and I will see you on the next stream.